So in this class we'll be starting with the syllabus of AEC, Environmental Science of second year students of Delhi University. The fifth unit, that is the first chapter for second year students, Global Environmental Issues and Policies. So we'll go in detail on this chapter. You can note the points as well. So we live in a natural as well as social world, right? So we live in a natural as well as social world. Here, development is not something that is only of economic or where the finance is required, right? For a development, there are three types of cost. One is definitely the economic cost, the expenditure, the finance needed for this. Then there is social cost of development. The people, much of the people who are residing in this particular developmental project area will get relocated. That will lead to their unemployment, cultural loss and all. Then we have environmental cost of development, right? Degradation that happens to the nature. So that is what this point means. So millions of people of developing countries are still in extreme poverty condition. Okay, 47 least developed countries exist on less than 0.5% of world's income. More than 2 billion people do not have access to adequate sanitation. 1 billion people do not have access to clean water. 1.3 billion doesn't even have access to clean air, that is, they breathe air that is below air quality set by World Health Organization. Okay, not all these points. Okay, poverty and socio-economic inequality raise serious issues of sustainability. High rates of poverty are associated with various social evils like disease, family breakdown, endemic crime, use of narcotic drugs and all. Therefore, there is an urgent need to interlink the social aspects with development and environment. It has to be a holistic approach. Now we can see a figure whereas human activities are like how affecting the sustainability in the biosphere. Okay. So these are the list of human activities provided, that is land creation, agriculture, fisheries, grazing, water diversion, mineral extraction, fuel consumption, industrialization, urbanization, recreation and all. So let's see how this leads to some will be intended results, like, right? So a group of people doing agriculture or mineral extraction for a particular purpose, that may be for food production, shelter, consumer goods, culture and all. That will lead to fiber production, water supply, enjoyment, knowledge, right? So these are the intended results. What about unintended results? Yes, so this fuel consumption or industrialization, what to say, urbanization, these all will lead to habitat destruction, deforestation, desertification, acid precipitation, climate change, right? And how will this affect the environment? The environmental cost of these developments, those are the social degradation, pollution, eutrophication, loss of biodiversity. So in this acid precipitation, I hope you guys know, right? If the air is too polluted, the rainwater, the pH level will be really varied. Now it will be somewhat like acid itself. And in the next column about eutrophication, I'll show the picture. So this is how eutrophication looks like. Okay, so this is how eutrophication looks like. It seems to be so greeny, but this greenery is not that good for nature. This is how it somewhat happens, right? When in the fertilizers, I hope this picture is clear. In the fertilizer, when chemical fertilizers are used for this cultivation, through soil it reaches the water, any water body. Okay, and the nutrients in the chemical fertilizers enriches in the water body, and all these, what to say, algae, as they are too nutrient rich, algae bloom, we say that algae will grow very fastly, then it will be full of green water, and the sunlight will get blocked. Sunlight won't be able to reach under this layer of algae, that is down part of this earth, I'm really sorry for that, down part of the water. So all the, what to say, living organisms and algae, fish, all will suffocate, which are in the deep part will suffocate because of the lack of sunlight. Sunlight gets blocked in this green part, so that is eutrophication. If you need, what to say, yes, definition. Eutrophication is the process in which a water body becomes overly enriched with nutrients, leading to plentiful growth of simple plant life. Example, algae bloom. The excessive growth or bloom of algae and plankton in a water body are indicators of this process. Eutrophication is considered to be a serious environmental concern since it often results in the deterioration of water quality and depletion of dissolved oxygen in water bodies. You know, right? So eutrophic water eventually become dead zones and become incapable for supporting life. Why the dissolved oxygen gets depleted? There is a lack of sunlight. So that is of eutrophication. Let's move to the next part. So nearly 2/3 of the services provided by nature to humankind are found to be declined in this world by this time. 2/3 of the services, okay. So speaking of the natural ones, so first is declining resources. Overfishing leads to declining resources. Food system stress. No, the population is increasing, but the resources are limited. So as it grows beyond the absorbing capacity of the nature, food system stress happens. Fresh water scarcity, loss of forest, loss of biodiversity. Then altered biogeochemistry, that is ozone depletion, elevated carbon dioxide, global warming, nitrogen loading, eutrophication. Then social disintegration. So all these will, the first thing, what to say, declining resources will lead to social disintegration. In what forms? Unemployment, health crisis, family breakdown, regional armed conflicts. You know, conflicts over river water, no? Kaveri river's water between the states Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Okay, then human population, it leads to these changes, right? 9 billion by 2025, refugees, urbanization, income inequality and poverty. Okay, so next is from unsustainable to sustainable, a solution. So the natural resources which required for our existence are getting badly polluted, and it is dwindling due to over exploitation. Therefore, a fear of unsustainable growth and development started in 1970s. The UN, United Nations Conference on the Human Environment, that is Stockholm Conference, held in, definitely it will be held in Stockholm only. It was held for this particular matter. It was the UN's first major conference on international environmental issues, which is Stockholm Conference, okay? Date is June 5th to 16, 1972, and marked a turning point in the development of international environmental politics. The development was inclined toward more use of earth resources, continued as economic development. The UN established a commission called the World Commission on the Environment and Development in 1983. This commission frequently been referred to Brundtland Commission. The commission was named on Gro Harlem Brundtland, the head of the commission and the former Prime Minister of Norway. The Commission proposed a global agenda to address the world's environmental problem and people's concern relating to living conditions, resources, population pressure, international trade, education, and health. The Brundtland Commission report, Our Common Future, You all know this, it was in the last semester also. Defined sustainable development as development that meets the need of present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. Okay. The concept of sustainable development in Brundtland Report was the landmark for the UN Conference on Environment and Development in 1992, which is popularly known as Earth Summit. So, what was the main concept? Concept of Earth Summit, the Brundtland Report. Okay, and where was this Earth Summit held? In Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Now the 5 significant agreements that was the result of Earth Summit. First is Agenda 21, then Rio Declaration on Environment and Development, then Statement of Forest Principles, UN Frameworks on Climate Change, UNFCCC, United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. Out of these 5 significant agreements, Agenda 21 proposes a global program of action on sustainable development in social, economic and political context for the 21st century. The definition of sustainable development can also be stated as development that meets the needs of the present while safeguarding Earth's life-supporting system on which the welfare of current and future generation depends. The concept of sustainable development has 3 principal dimensions: economic, social, environment. Key aspects of sustainable development are intergenerational equity, intragenerational equity. So what is intergenerational equity? Stop overuse. What we can do now? In between. Stop overuse, reduce impacts, maintain ecological balance, hand over a safe, healthy and resourceful environment to our future. Intragenerational equity, minimize gap between and within nations, support economic growth of poorer countries, provide technological help that will support economic growth of poor countries and help in narrowing the wealth gap. So, measure of sustainable development. Sorry. First is using appropriate technology. Locally adoptable, eco-friendly, resource-efficient and culturally suitable technology. Indigenous technologies are more useful, cost-effective and sustainable. Okay. Then 3 R's. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Then compulsory, like EVS being compulsory from school stage. We know according to the NEP, it is mandated for UG students to study EVS. That's why we are having this exam. Okay. Then resource utilization as per carrying capacity. So what is carrying capacity? Any system can sustain a limited number of organisms as long as on a long-term basis, which is known as its carrying capacity. And this has 2 basic components. One is supporting capacity, that is capacity to regenerate, again produce. Then is assimilative capacity, that is capacity to tolerate different stresses. In order to attain sustainability, it is very important to utilize the resources based upon the above 2 properties of system. Okay. So next is Indian scenario. We are coming to the Indian scenario. Situation in India. Emphasis on framing a well-planned strategy, tremendous population, tremendous natural diversity, hence makes planning sustainably and more complex. Okay. So it is hard for a sustainable plan in India. Ministry of Environment and Forest, set up in 1985, has formulated guidelines for various developmental activities keeping in view these sustainable principles. So next is climate change, global warming, acid rain, ozone layer depletion, nuclear accidents and Holocaust. So climate change. Climate is what? Average weather of an area. It is the general weather condition, seasonal variation, and extremes of weather in a region. Okay, not this. Such conditions which average over a long period at least 30 years. Long period which is at least 30 years. It is climate. The global surface temperature has increased by 0.6 plus or minus 0.2 degrees Celsius over the last century. We know like increased means in the cold regions and hot regions it will be different. That's why plus or minus. In 1998 it was the warmest year, and 1990s the warmest decade on record. Many countries have experienced increases in rainfall, particularly in the country situated in the mid to high latitudes. Increase in rainfall were mid to high latitudes. It was observed that the earth temperature has changed considerably during the geological times. It has experienced several glacial and interglacial period. Have a check on this graph, diagram. So the anthropogenic, that is man-made activities, are the major driver of present climate change, which are upsetting the established balance between various components of environment. Today there is no consistency, right? In the past, if it was the December, November part, it is winter. If it was and a moderate winter, okay. But now it is in the extreme, and also we don't know when when it rains. Past there was a particular time, like during these months there will be rain. This particular point there will be heavy rain. But now we can't calculate this. We can't predict. No, nothing is in our way. The greenhouse gases are increasing enormously into the atmosphere, and as a result, the average global temperature of the earth is increasing. So the gases which are reason for this global temperature, greenhouse gases. This may disturb the hydrological cycle, result in floods and droughts in different regions of the world, cause sea level rise, change in agricultural productivity, famines, and death of humans as well as livestock. So next is impact of climate change. The global change in the temperature will not be uniform everywhere and will fluctuate in different regions. The places at higher latitudes will be warmed up more during late autumn and winter than the places in tropics. So the increased warming at poles will reduce the thermal gradient between the equator and high latitude regions. It disturbs the global pattern of winds and social. So this is where I'm speaking now. So this disturbs the global pattern of winds and ocean currents as well as timing and distribution of rainfall. Next, temperature increased by 1.5 to 4.5 degrees Celsius. The global hydrological cycle is expected to intensify by 5 to 10%. So the disturbed rainfall will result in some areas becoming wetter and some becoming more drier. Got it. Again, the disturb in the global pattern of winds and ocean currents will lead to shifting the ocean current, that leading to the climate change of Ireland and Britain. And here if the rainfall is disturbed, higher temperature will result in more evapotranspiration, leading to annual water deficit in crop field. So just mark these things. Then potential climate change impacts. When the climate is changed, what all will change? Three things that will change directly is temperature, precipitation, sea level rise. And how this will affect? One is health impact. Weather related mortality, infectious diseases, air quality, respiratory illness. Okay. Then next is agricultural impact, crop yield and irrigation demand. Because in India, agriculture is mainly dependent on monsoon rain. Okay. So this erratic rainfall definitely acts as a villain. Okay. Next, in forest impacts, change in forest composition, shift in geographic range of forest, then forest health and productivity. Then water resource impacts, change in water supply, water quality change, increased competition of water. We know the river water conflict of Kaveri River between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka states. Then impact on coastal areas, erosion of beach, inundate coastal lands, cost to defend coastal communities. Emergency fund have to be used, no? Or else whatever fund. The expenditure of the government increases there. Then species and natural areas, shift in ecological zones, then loss of habitat and species. So in 1989, the World Conference on Changing Atmosphere in Toronto led to the formation of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Okay. This was jointly established by UNEP and the World Meteorological Organization. The initial report of IPCC was focused on basics of climate change. The work of IPCC continued through the 1990s with the supplementary assessment in 1992 and a major reassessment in 1995. The third and fourth assessment reports of IPCC 2001 and 2007 respectively gives most comprehensive information about on the atmospheric abundance of greenhouse gases and its possible impacts on climate, ecological systems, global carbon cycle and other related issues. Okay. So next is global warming. Have a check on this diagram. So what is global warming? Increase of greenhouse gases, mainly from the burning of fossil fuels, trapping more heat in Earth's system. That is what global warming is. This extra heat which is trapped in the Earth has resulted in higher temperatures on land and the oceans, melting ice and more extreme weather. Got it? Have a check on this diagram. It is very important. If I go on detailing, the video will be more lengthy. So greenhouse effect, one is human induced, that is global warming. Okay. Due to increasing CO2 level and other greenhouse gases like methane, nitrous oxide and all. The next is natural, that is due to water vapor and CO2. So next is about how the glass house or greenhouse, that particular concept. Tapping of heat by certain gases in lower atmosphere is natural process. Okay. Similarly, greenhouse or glass house used to make in horticulture for warming effect of plants. We know this, right? And terrace and all mainly, not only in terrace, land also. Glass houses are made for this warming effect for plants. So this happens when greenhouse gases, not the plants thing, the global warming, greenhouse gas increase. It happens when what all are the greenhouse gases? Carbon dioxide, water vapor, nitrous oxide, methane. So when this get trapped, these gases trap heat and light from the sun in the Earth's atmosphere, which increases the temperature. So amount of heat trapping or greenhouse gases and the length time they stay in atmosphere. Okay, this is what leads to increase in temperature. Average global temperature is 15 degrees Celsius. In absence of these gases, this temperature would be minus 18 degrees Celsius. So warming or cooling more than 2 degrees Celsius over the past few decades may prove to be disastrous for various ecosystems on the earth. Some areas will become inhabitable because of drought or floods following a rise in average sea level. How does greenhouse gas increase leads to rise in sea level? When greenhouse gases increase, temperature increase. When temperature increase, ice melts. That will lead to the increase in sea level, rise in sea level. So have a check on these diagrams. As I said before, if I go on detailing, the video would be so lengthy. My target, like my goal, is to end this within 35 minutes. Okay. Next is greenhouse gases. So carbon dioxide, industrial countries account for about 76% of annual emission. The main source are fossil fuels burning 67% and deforestation. Carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere was 355 ppm in 1990, and this increased to 1.5 ppm every year. Rate of increase, this okay. Then have a check on these diagrams. Take a screenshot if possible. Next is chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. 1500 to 7000 times more efficient than CO2 molecules. So the main source of ozone depletion is CFCs. And the main source of CFC including leaking air conditioners, refrigerators, evaporation of industrial solvents, production of plastic foams, aerosol, propellant, etc. Next is methane. 16% contribution of the increased greenhouse gases is methane. 16%, okay. Methane is produced when bacteria break down dead organic matter in moist. Okay, bacteria break down dead organic matter in moist places that lack oxygen, such as swamps, natural wetlands, paddy field, landfill, digestive tract of cattle, sheep, and termites. Each methane molecule traps about 25 times of much heat than CO2 molecule, as CO2 molecule. Next is nitrous oxide. It is responsible for 6% of human input of greenhouse gases. Okay, it is released from nylon product, from burning of biomass, nitrogen-rich fuel, especially coal, and from the breakdown of nitrogen fertilizers in soil, livestock waste, and nitrate contaminated groundwater. Its lifespan in the troposphere is 140 to 190 years, and it traps about 230 times as much heat per molecule as CO2. Okay. Have a check on this diagram. So it is just on the primary current sources. So carbon dioxide, fossil fuel use, land use, cement and all. Methane, fossil fuel use, agriculture. Nitrous oxide, mostly agriculture, anthropogenic, 1/3. Hydrofluorocarbons, alternative to ozone depleting substances. Perfluorocarbons, primary aluminum production, semiconductor manufacturing. Sulfur hexafluoride, used in electric power transmission, magnesium, and semiconductor industries. So next is impact of enhanced greenhouse effect. So global temperature increase, sea level rise, it will lead to submergence of areas as well. Effect of human health, changed agricultural production, change in wind current patterns, ocean currents will change, hydrological cycle will intensify, cases of flood, drought, cyclone on a rise. So these are some examples. So next is a measure to check global warming. Cut down the current rate of use of CFCs and fossil fuel. Use energy more efficiently. Shift to renewable energy resources. Increase nuclear power plants for electricity production. Shift from coal to natural gas. Adopt sustainable agriculture. Stabilize population growth. Efficiently removes carbon dioxide from smokestacks. Biofuels, afforestation, reduce the current rate of CFC, that is chlorofluorocarbons, trap methane for fuel, potential of algae in carbon dioxide utilization, sustainable agriculture and all. Next is acid rain. So as I briefed in the beginning, gaseous pollutants in the atmosphere, particulate pollutants in the atmosphere, so pollutants in the cloud, water and precipitation. This all gets in the form of like wet deposition. Okay, so have a check on the diagram, don't forget. So this is the pH scale. We know in the beginning it will be more acidic, and when it comes to the end it will be more alkaline. So about acid rain, it is a broad term referring to a mixture of wet and dry deposition from the atmosphere containing higher than normal amount of nitric and sulfuric acids. Acid rain occurs when these gases react in the atmosphere with water, oxygen and other chemicals to form various acidic compounds. The result is a mild solution of sulfuric acid and nitric acid. Don't forget this, okay? When sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide are released from power plants and other resources, okay, and other sources. So not resources, sources. Prevailing winds blow these compounds across state and national borders, sometimes over hundreds of miles. pH will be less than 5.6. If the acid chemicals in the air are blown into areas where the weather is wet, acid can fall into the ground in the form of rain, snow, or fog or mist. We know the case of Delhi, right? It is an example. As the acidic water flows over and through the ground, it affects the variety of plants, animals, even humans. In areas where the weather is dry. So this is the condition of weather is wet. And what happens when weather is dry? It may become incorporated into dust or smoke and fall to the ground through dry deposition sticking to the ground, buildings, homes, cars and trees. So just read the examples. And effects of acid rain. pH below 5.1 causes harmful effect. This effect is visible on the aquatic system even at pH less than 5.5. Deterioration of buildings. Example is Taj Mahal. The marble is pure white and now there is a slight yellowishness, right? It is evident from these two pictures. Damage on stone structures, damage metals and car finishes. So in the case of Taj Mahal, it is between the sulfuric acid and the marbles that happens. So damaged metals and car finishes, aquatic life, especially fish, are badly affected by the leak acidification. Due to acid rain, a lot of leaching of toxic metals like aluminium, mercury, manganese, zinc and lead into the water bodies, which affect the aquatic animals. Many lakes of Sweden, Norway, Canada have become fishless due to acid rain. It damaged foliage and weakened the trees. So it is more prone to diseases. How can we control acid rain? Emission of sulfur dioxide and nitrous dioxide from industries and power plants should be reduced by using pollution control equipments. We are not going in detail on this, we just point out. Liming of lakes and soils should be done. Liming, okay, that is, lime is alkaline. So liming means the acidity will be when you add a particle of lime. Lime is very alkaline in nature, so the acidity will get reduced. Then a coating of protective layer of inert polymer should be given in the interior of water pipes for drinking water. So ozone layer depletion we will take in the next class, or else it will be too much in one video, right? So with this we are ending this class, and next class we will start from ozone layer depletion. Maximum we will take 2 more classes to finish this chapter. So bye.